video
all
started. And that works. So
It's like a couple minutes.
yeah, it just shouldn't take that long. It's annoying. Welcome back, everybody. This is Last Call. We can curse now.
Fuck yeah.
Where is the Galapagos Islands?
I think it's near South America, Africa.
Is it over here?
In the Southern Hemisphere.
Okay.
I narrowed it down by half.
Sounds a lot better. I'll be down that way next week.
To the Galapagos Islands.
Week and a half. Where
is
it?
The Galapagos Islands?
Well, down in the cruise. I'm taking the cruise down to.
I was right. It's South America, off the coast of Ecuador, on the west side.
West side.
Southwest of Panama and Costa Rica, west of Ecuador.
So he's not having the same. Well, actually, I talked to him today. He's enjoying much better weather than we are right now. Damn Tim.
Well, it's the Southern Hemisphere, man. It is what it is.
There was a comment on one of our Last Call YouTube videos, and it was just somebody said, "What the hell is this?" We don't know. I had no idea. I didn't know how to respond to it. I didn't make a reply to the comment. Like, I don't know what it is. A couple of drunk guys.
Just be like, watch to find out.
I don't know. This can't be the oddest thing on YouTube that someone actually took the time to comment. What am I watching right now?
Like, I'm just glad the algorithm showed it to him. You know.
Exactly.
It means we got the Georgia State algorithm cornered.
Maybe it wasn't a Georgia State person. Like, what the fuck is this shit? Yeah,
that seems right. I don't know. There's so many podcast people out there, you know. Like I sort of in shame say, oh, I have a podcast.
I know.
At this point, I have a podcast.
I don't know who I'm more shameful to say it around: people that are Georgia State fans or people that are not Georgia State fans.
It's funny though, because like in political circles, that's where I'm really like under my breath. I have a podcast, but then I immediately like perk up and say it has nothing to do with politics. I mean, we sometimes do it, but like nothing to do with it. This is my outlet of like not that.
Anytime something has come up about a podcast, whether I said it or somebody else says, or it just kind of comes up, like, oh, what do you want to do? You want to meet up on Tuesday? I do the podcast on Tuesday. Like, oh, you got a podcast? I'm like, yeah. Like, oh, what is it? I'll give it a listen. I'm like, no, you won't.
You interested in Georgia State sports?
Like,
I mean, people do tell me it's neat. I doubt lots of people that say that listen to it.
Right.
Because there's just not a ton of fans.
And that's fine.
What it is. We'll blow up as soon as there are. As soon as the athletic department gets its shit together, man, we're gonna be golden.
Okay, so will we live to see it? Will our daughters be doing State of Atlanta podcast in 40 years?
Look, man, as soon as they get their shit together, we're gonna be golden. I'm sticking to it. I don't need all your extra bullshit.
Yeah, until then we can probably just do replays of the episodes. Just we find an episode where we played Appalachian State and just put it up there. It's
we show up to the tailgate. People are like, I love the episode. And be like, yeah, I bet you did. We quit a year ago. We've just been replaying episodes. No, not gonna
happen like that. Dude, people are already started talking on Panther Talk about the Ole Miss game, about getting out there and getting accommodations, or how they're going to get there, what they're going to do, when they're going to stay, all kinds of stuff like that.
Well, it's a few short months away. What is it, like 8 months? Something like that? 7 months now?
August 31st or whatever it is.
I'm starting looking at the travel, at least setting that flag.
I wanted to do a bus.
Know when it's cheap.
I don't think the bus makes sense logistically. I think it's just too far.
Yeah,
just too far. If it was like an hour closer,
so like I think Auburn.
Well, Auburn was easy.
Or like even if it was like Tuscaloosa would be an hour closer, right?
Yeah, Tuscaloosa would work, I think.
Yeah.
So just something like even like a Tupelo or something like that would probably be fine. But oh well, that's what it is. I have the benefit that if I do end up going to the game, I can just stay with my family in Memphis. It's like a 45-minute drive down on game day.
And I'd say, but then you'd have to stay in Memphis. But like, if not, you still have to stay in Mississippi. So it's like,
I mean, yeah, but it's free for me to stay in Memphis versus
yeah,
paying to be. What's worse, staying for free in Memphis or paying to stay in Mississippi?
it's not very expensive to stay in Mississippi. So
Game day in a traditional college town, I bet they jack up those Motel 6s.
in a 45-minute radius, though, you're probably okay.
Wait, how many things are actually outside of 45 minutes outside of Oxford?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're staying a Days Inn out there, but
Yeah,
or a Motel 6.
that's what I said. I said Motel 6.
Oh, I didn't listen. I don't listen.
I know you don't pay attention to what I say. That's why this works so well.
Yeah, you told me the running back coach changed, and I was like, "Oh, really? Let me look that up."
Yeah, it's like I'm glad you actually did look it up. I thought I was going to give you like breaking news information.
Nah, I figure I'll look up some. I do see value in the person who can ask questions who doesn't know what the hell's going on, or at least like, if you and Tim go off about something, I can be like, I think there's a gap if somebody didn't know about this that they
Yeah,
should know, and like I think there's value in being the guy who can be like, oh, fill this gap.
yeah. Mind the gap.
Yeah, I mean, it happens when you're like entrenched in something. Sometimes you don't know that you're like talking in like a tight context,
Right.
and that people outside of that maybe not as in the know don't know all the details. So it's like good
But
to
yeah,
have somebody who can ask those questions.
yeah. You make assumptions that everyone kind of just knows what you're talking about,
Yeah,
and
I
then
try to
in
keep a
reality,
balance. I don't do PT, but I try to keep a balance of that.
yeah. I spend a lot less time on Panther Talk than I used to. I probably spend more time really looking at the Sunbelt board to kind of get
Yeah,
a
that was the
vibe.
worst.
It's horrible. It's god awful, but just kind of
Is
get a
that
vibe.
Sunbelt BBS or whatever?
CSN BBS.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that's not fun, man. I'm sorry.
It's what was Obi-Wan's comment? It's about Mos Eisley. It's
Wretched hive of scum and villainy.
that's Wretched Hive of Scum and Villainy. Yeah. Somebody actually had a question out there today that kind of got me something I thought about bringing up, but I was like, eh. But now that's on Last Call, who fucking cares? The idea was if the pack, if the Pac conference were to bring in like Memphis and Tulane from the American, rather than you're not going to get ECU or UAB or somebody to jump ship and pay the $10 million exit fee from the American to join the Sun Belt.
Also, they are very clearly Atlantic. Like
Yeah,
ECU specifically is on the
yeah.
coast.
No,
Like,
no, no. Yeah, well, I'm saying they said would Sunbelt schools be okay floating the exit money to an American school to come over here? Like, would you like so? ECU's not going to pay $10 million to move from the American to the Sunbelt. If there was no exit fee, maybe they would. You don't know, but right now that $10 million is a barrier. With the Sun Belt, member schools be willing to float that money for ECU to join the conference, and like UAB or USF or San Antonio or something like San Antonio. Yeah, San American. Yeah,
Mhm.
something like that. And I for one don't think there's any reason to add any more schools. 14's big and is probably too big, but
Too
it
big, yeah.
works. It works the way with the scheduling and everything. Well, they can fucking figure out how to do a goddamn schedule. But
Yeah, I was to say you're gonna you're
so
gonna you're gonna give a
I'm not a
kudos
fan
to
of really.
scheduling.
I like the idea of an ECU. I like the idea of being in a conference with the ECU, a UAB, USF, something like that.
Yeah, even UTSA.
Yeah,
They started football around the same time as us and have
I
been
think
way more
maybe
successful
they either
building
started the
programs.
same year or the year before us. One of the two. They were like right there at us too. Yeah.
And they might have been one of those like year before us, but not official. I know USA played like 2 non-official seasons before they even like started
Yeah.
officially started, which was like part of why they sort of had some momentum, but they lost it.
Well, that and also they were going straight to FBS. They never
Mhm.
had an FCS season. Them
Oh,
and
that's true.
USA, Old Dominion, and Charlotte never had to go FCS. They just started up in Conference USA.
Mm. And but UTSA, I feel like they started like at least the same year as us, maybe like you said, plus
They may
plus
have been 1 year before us, I feel like, but yeah, it
yeah.
was either the same year or year before us.
But
But
they've
I
they've
like
done a
that.
phenomenal job and have fielded a very good team, like, kinda quietly, honestly.
Yeah, they
They've
actually had, like,
been
a really
kind of
good
the most
team.
successful of the crop there.
Yeah, a year or 2 ago, they had, like, a really, really breakout season.
Mhm.
I think it may have been right before they went to American, like, maybe it was the year that they got added to the American, or,
Maybe.
like, the following seasons when they got added, something like that. But no, I like the idea of being in a conference with some of those teams, and I like the idea of just joining the American to do it, but if that's not gonna be an option, I I I like the idea of being in the same conference with them, but I don't think that we need to add 2, 4 more teams to the Sun
Now you
Belt,
gotta lose some teams to do that.
and that's just not gonna happen. That's not the way
Yeah.
the conferences work. We got rid of the basketball schools, but that was kind of a, you know
Non-renewal.
yeah, yeah, well, I don't it wasn't a non-renewal. We got rid of the New
New
Mexico State. New
New
Mexico
Mexico
State and
State and Idaho
Idaho,
are non-renewals.
those were non-renewals, but, like, literally told was it, Little Rock and what was the Texas school that we had?
Arlington. Arlington.
Arlington. Basically told them, said, "We're gonna be a or a football required conference, so
Mhm.
best you find another conference," and they did, which I think was
Mhm.
kinda shitty. I had no problem with them being in the conference with all the other shitty schools we have, they were fine,
Yeah.
but,
Basketball is you play a ton of games anyway. It's not terrible scheduling. You make it
it
work.
didn't bother
Do
but
pods like they were trying to do or something like that.
yeah.
Like, you can make it work.
Yeah, but, yeah, until they start dropping teams from the conference, which is not gonna happen, I don't see any reason to add any more teams
No.
necessarily, or
Only
float
if
the money.
you think you're gonna lose some in the future, maybe you add some good ones now, or something
We
like
could
that, but
we could lose 4 teams and be in a good spot.
yeah, I
You know,
agree.
a 10-team conference is pretty good, really.
That's the thing is Sun Belt opponents are not what is gonna drive any Sun Belt team to be the P5, the bowl game, the college football playoff team. It's not gonna
Right.
be beating Sun Belt teams. It's gonna be your out of conference. It's gonna be going out and beating very good teams. That's gonna be what promotes it. So almost a smaller conference is better.
If we could actually get our shit together and win some damn games,
Yeah.
like, if we became the Boise State of the Sun Belt, where we're just, like, demolishing our opponents by, like, 20 or 30 points every single week for
Yeah.
years on end, then, yeah, we become a very attractive team to join,
Or
a
if we're just
different
beating a bunch
conference.
of shitty Sun Belt teams, that's not as, like, intriguing to the college football playoff, the
Well, but you
committee
beat
or
a bunch of
whatever.
shitty teams in here, and then when you do get your bowl games and you do get those opportunities against a P5, P4 program, whatever it is, and you do win,
Mhm.
that's pretty good. And that comes out and then down to your out of conference scheduling.
Yep.
Getting some good teams on the schedule that you can
We
beat
get
up on a little.
a smaller conference schedule and more out of conference for programs like Sun Belt, right? I mean, you just
Yeah.
give us more opportunities to go do that and go win those games. That's probably a better situation. I don't necessarily, like, care enough to go make a campaign to do it, but I think smaller
How
conferences make sense.
how consistently does Georgia State football have to win before we start seeing fans really start showing up and packing out the park?
I don't know, man. I don't know the answer to that. Fans are rough, man. I think they've proven me wrong so many times. I don't like guessing anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's gotta be a while. I think that you're gonna have to have a signature win with a good opponent coming in the following week to really kinda spark it,
Mhm.
and then win that game and get people into it.
One of those big ones that draws a lot of people in that we always are like, God, and we like shit the bed every time. We're like,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
we just all these people got to watch us like lose. Cool. They came back and we lost. Bad. And not even like a fun loss, not even like a challenge or anything like that. Usually we like just shit the
Yeah.
bed completely. They just get to watch like a totally flat football team play against a good team.
Our
And
biggest home win ever is Vanderbilt.
yeah, but that was a fun game.
That was a fun game.
I'll take that all day, every day,
Yeah,
Like, that's like to me that was fun.
and then
And
we
then the
didn't
stuff
win ano
even the stuff like
and
Georgia
then
Southern, right?
we didn't win another game after that.
Well, right. But you played TDS? Like, these are games that people show up to. You gotta win the games that people are interested in winning, right? Those are the
Yep.
ones. So you get Homecoming, you get TDS, you get the home opener every year. You get like those 3 games really. So you don't
We
get
got
TDS
Memphis this
every
year.
year.
We got
What?
Memphis here this year. That's a if we could find a way to do something there, that'd be
And then
great.
yeah, you get these 2-for-1s that we've done an okay job scheduling. I will say that like we've scheduled some pretty cool home teams, in my opinion. You got to win those though, and you got to
I
get
think a
people
good one
excited
is
about showing up, and then you got to beat their asses.
I think we have coming up in a couple of years. We have obviously we have Tech coming up, but we also have a 4-game series with Birmingham, UAB,
Yeah.
and I think that starts in 2027.
Do
When
you
that
think
starts.
like I know that we like that as fans of a smaller program and like looking at the comparison between the cities and the schools and all that stuff. We're like, oh, this is a good matchup. Do you think your average fan gives a shit?
I don't know if your average fan gives a shit, but I think that your average UAB fan is like, oh, Atlanta's a short drive. Make a
Sure.
weekend a weekend in Atlanta. I think that so you get some people that want to come by, or those that are just like we can easily do a day trip, drive to
Yeah.
Atlanta in the morning, go to the game, come back that night, whatever. So I think it just I don't think that UAB specifically draws in a lot of Atlanta people to go to that game, like for Georgia State.
Mm.
But I think it should be a natural rivalry. I think that we should be playing UAB in every sport every single season.
Well, I mean, if not for budgetary reasons,
Exactly.
since
But I
it's
don't
so
think we
close.
really do. I don't think we really play him. I think we've played him in basketball once since I started following the program. I went to that game. We lost. And I don't think we play him like regularly in baseball and soccer and everything like that. We should be playing Birmingham in every single sport. I think it's good for both the programs. Again,
Yeah.
like you said, travel wise, expense wise, it's a bus trip. It's an
Yeah,
easy
it's
bus trip that
easy
day.
peasy.
Yeah. Do they have flights from Atlanta to Birmingham? That can't.
Probably. Probably. It used to be so Southwest was the hub in Birmingham. I used to fly out of there to go to California because it was like dirt cheap. Drive from Atlanta to Birmingham to fly out of Birmingham is what I used to do.
It's got to be a
Um,
big discount.
but Southwestern's out of Atlanta now, so I would bet that you could pop on over that way. God, that's got to be the shortest flight ever, though.
I mean, I flew from Atlanta to Jacksonville, and that was like a 45-minute flight.
Yeah, that's pretty small too.
Yeah, Southwest and Delta, $400.
I'll
Southwest
drive.
has
I'll drive.
Southwest has a layover from Atlanta to Birmingham. It has a layover.
Oh my lord.
I think it's
Is it in like Minnesota?
uh, what's MCO? I don't know what MCO is.
I don't know. Mexico City.
Orlando. You got to go to Orlando to go to
Oh
Birmingham.
god. Uh,
I was gonna say Orlando, but that seemed short because it was only a 4-hour flight.
there was one
Because
one time I was flying to Orlando for a Cure Bowl, and I forget where I was flying from. I left from somewhere and I got Manhattan Associates to pay for the flight to Orlando instead of to Atlanta and so I was like, oh, I'll just pay the difference for like a one-way flight or something.
yeah,
And I forget where I was coming from, but it was somewhere in. God, it didn't make sense. I went all the way to Minneapolis. Like I went north to Minneapolis. I think it was from Ohio. I think I was in Columbus, and I flew to Minneapolis, which is northwest of Ohio, so that I could fly back down to Orlando. Like that was the connecting flight.
all right. We need to do this experiment. We need this experiment. One of us is going to fly to Birmingham, and the other one is going to drive to Birmingham, and we're going to see which one takes longer.
I think the flight is 100%.
Well, but I think here's my deal. Here's why I say
When do
the
we start? When do you start driving?
so I think so. Let's say you're flying and I'm driving. I'll drive you to the airport, and I will not leave the Atlanta airport until boarding has begun for your flight. And my goal is to get to the Birmingham airport before you land.
That'd be fucking hilarious.
Because like
It's so funny because I don't think I think that I would put money on the driver.
So it says Delta says their nonstop is 50 to, depending on which flight, is 50 to 57 minutes. But then you look at the maps and it says it's a 2-hour drive, 2-hour 19-minute drive.
Like when boarding was scheduled to start though. So if there's delays or anything, like that's
True. Yeah. I was like, when boarding is scheduled to start.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe on a non-snow day.
Well, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So
It'd be
could I
cutting it
make
close.
it?
It'd be cutting
Could
it
I?
close.
And the cool thing is, it could be a one-way flight because I can just drive you back to Atlanta afterwards.
That's right. We did our experiment. We're done.
Go have a beer and then come back.
Yeah, exactly.
that would be funny.
I didn't have to drive there, and I'm gonna drive back.
Well, maybe we should do that for when we play them in, what would I say, 2026? We have one of us fly out there. 2027. 2027. One of us fly. God damn it, it's here. In 2028, remember this for 2028. One of us is going to fly, and the other's going to pick them up.
But I'm not the guy with the memory.
The guy with the memory is not here tonight. He's in Galapagos Island.
That's true.
Because
maybe one of our patrons will remind us.
I'll put it on my calendar for September 16th, 2028. I'll be in my 50s.
Flight.
I'll be in my 50s. I'm the one flying.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, I think that's a good as anything else to end last call on.
Yeah, we did all right. It's better with Sam here, but we did okay.
Always better with Sam here. All right, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next week. Say goodbye, guy.
Goodbye, guys.